Welcome to the Space Economy, your destination for the business of space. I'm super excited. We're having Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Celaya from Space Force back with us. I wrote a note because I feel like he's gotten a new job. He relocated to Sacramento, California, and is part of the 364th Recruiting Office. But first, before we get into our conversation with Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Celaya and what he's been doing over at Space Force, George, how are you doing today?
Fantastic, Samson. The entire Pullen household is a buzz with the fact that we have a lieutenant colonel from Space Force on the show. I've had numerous people under 4 feet tall poking in on the side of the screen to see his uniform and see the emblem in the background. So, so it's a red banner day here.
Awesome, awesome. So, Aaron, Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Celaya, Space Force. I'm loving this background. You have a new look. It's been a minute since we talked to you. What have you been up to?
Hey, Samson. First of all, it's great to be back with you and George. I always enjoy our conversations. And since the last time that we talked, I was working with Dr. Mosier, the chief scientist. I was over at the Headquarters Space Operations Command, or SPOC. And since that point, I got my first command and then was moved to Sacramento, where I'm now the commander of the 364th Recruiting Squadron, where we handle recruiting efforts for the Department of the Air Force. So we recruit for both the Air Force and the Space Force here in the Northern California region.
Wow, the Air Force and the Space Force. I know George has a litany of questions for you, but before we kick it over to him, I want to point out that I love SPOC as an acronym, Space Operations Command. Kudos to whoever came up with that.
So do I get to jump in? Because I've got a bunch. So I think one of the first things I want to ask is, and we don't want to propagate the myth, we want to dispel it, but do you have to want to be an astronaut to be recruited or want to join Space Force?
Great question, George. And I get that question a lot. So the short answer is no. So oftentimes when I'm asked about what Space Force does, people are really talking about human spaceflight. And of course, what youngster hasn't thought about going into space and being an astronaut? It's a cool, exciting, and fun idea that get people fired up about space. But right now, being an astronaut belongs to NASA. So folks don't have to want to be an astronaut to join the Space Force. They just have to want to join an awesome team that shapes the way we fight and win wars, but also, and extremely importantly, shapes our modern way of life.
I like it. I like it. So, and you brought up NASA there. So tease it out for me a little bit more and for the audience. What are some big differences between NASA and its mission and Space Force and its mission?
Oh, I love these questions, George. You're really drilling down on some of the common themes that I find myself speaking about, and it's great. I love that people are thinking about this, that they're asking questions. Just to put it simply, the Space Force is military, NASA is civilian. So to dig down a little bit deeper on that, though, the U.S. Space Force is the newest U.S. military branch and was created on December 20th, 2019, under the Department of the Air Force. And so the Space Force, we recognize space as a warfighting domain, and we work to protect U.S. and allied interests in that domain. On the other hand, NASA is a civilian space agency, and their focus is on space exploration, scientific discovery, and expanding knowledge through peaceful international cooperation. So while our missions are distinctly different, we both operate in the same domain, and therefore we partner on a regular basis.